The real reason is something that came up to me, and I want to be honest about it, and that is, we're in a very interesting place, Baruch Hashem, in our community, where our membership is increasing. There are new people coming in, and Baruch Hashem, we're having, God willing, in the near future, a lot of people who are going to join 100% Am Yisrael, more than up until today, and that's very exciting for me, and that's very exciting for everybody here at the Kehillat. And part of that process as a Kehillat is to remember which direction we're going, and where it is that we need to reach. And there's something interesting about Am Yisrael that's different than any other religion in the world. Every other religion in the world received a holy book at some point in time, and their entire faith is dependent on clinging to that holy book. Am Yisrael is the only people that I'm familiar with, what did I care about, that is not just the people that receive the holy book and holds on to the holy book, but we are the people who continue to write that holy book. And we are the subject of that holy book. You see, across the street, they're studying the same Chumash we're studying, well, albeit with some different translations. But when they read that Chumash, they're across the street are reading that Chumash like an imposter who stole my book. And so when they read that book, they don't have any living connection to it, because the people in those books and them have nothing to do with each other. But when we read that book, when you and I read, everybody in this room, about Moshe Rabbeinu, about Avraham Avinu, so when a person becomes Jewish, the name we give him, the son of Avraham Avinu, the daughter of Avraham Avinu. Why? Because there's no truer descendant than Avraham Avinu as a person who says, I don't care where I really come from. Where I come from is a person who gave up everything, left their family, left their world, left what they know, to become part of Am Yisrael. And therefore that Avraham Avinu is no longer some guy we read about in a book. He's my father. He's my grandfather. Moshe Rabbeinu is my uncle. Sarai Imenu was my great aunt. Whatever you want to say you are, it's a completely different connection. And that means that whatever you might think is just Jewish history, or Jewish politics, or Jewish problems, says the Rosh, you cannot believe in the Torah if you don't believe in Am Yisrael. If you don't believe in Am Yisrael, the Torah is useless. Because Am Yisrael is the Torah. It is. There's nothing we can do about it. And therefore everything that Am Yisrael goes through is part of the Torah. It's part of what it is that we have. Let's be very careful when we're Am Yisrael. Of course we study the Chumash. Of course the Chumash is more important to me than Shai Agnon's poems. You know, is that what I'm telling you here? What I'm telling you though is, instead of looking at the Chumash always backwards, you have to look at something and say, where am I going with it forwards? And so that's what today's about. To learn how to learn Torah that has nothing to do with the Chumash. I mean, it has everything to do with the Chumash because it's the living version of it. But it's not a class on a parasha or on psukim or anything similar. I was in LA this week with Rafael, and we were able to do another Bedin meeting over there, and it was a very special thing. And I was talking to some people, and oh, what about the chief rabbinate? What about the Rabbanut in Israel? What about this? What about that? What about? And then it always goes, what about unity? What about? It's always the same boring arguments that happen over and over. And so I figured today I can assess and discuss what is the Rabbanut, what is the chief rabbinate, what is our relationship to it, what are our feelings about it, and why it is that we do what we do, how we do it. So let me start all the way at the top. There never, ever was, outside of the Sanhedrin, a central Jewish rabbinic body that could force itself on the whole Jewish people. It's a fact. The Sanhedrin, yes, we believe the Sanhedrin were divinely put into place in order to guide the Jewish people. And therefore, whatever the majority ruled in the Sanhedrin, that was the formula Hashem gave us to follow the Sanhedrin. But after the downfall of the Sanhedrin and the Jews running themselves to Galut, and if you read my book, we tried, not just once, but we tried to revive the Sanhedrin. And it didn't work the way we wanted it to work. But since then, like the Rambam says, no one group of rabbis has the ability to force another group of rabbis to follow their law, to follow their order. The Talmud is the Talmud, and after the Talmud, it's not free for all, but you can't force everyone to follow your opinion. Your opinion now is reserved to your community, to your people, to your place. About 350 years ago, we founded the chief rabbinate of Israel. People think this is a modern discussion that started with the chief rabbinate of Israel and the state of Israel. The state of Israel is only 70 years old. The chief rabbinate of Israel is 350 years old. The first chief rabbi, anybody know?
It's the Turkish Ottoman, right?
Okay, very good. So Turkey was ruling over Israel at the time, and therefore Turkey has this concept of a Chacham Bashi, a chief rabbi, and that chief rabbi is enforced. It means it's part of the law of the Jewish people in Turkey, and that is a man by the name of Rabbi Moshe Galanti. Rabbi Moshe Galanti, you're talking about the year 1665. We have a Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel. If you want, you can pass it around. This is a book, pictures of all the Sephardic chief rabbis of Israel. Inside there are not pictures, they're just storybooks to read to your kids at night. But the cover is a cover of some of the more prominent ones. In the top left, underneath that, so right here, that's Rabbi Uziel. You might have heard of Rabbi Zion Mechai Uziel, Rabbi Yitzchak Nisim, who I came to talk about tonight. Rabbi Yaakov Meir, who's the rabbi of Rabbi Zion Mechai Uziel, and Rabbi Zion Mechai Uziel, who's replaced by Rabbi Yitzchak Nisim. After Rabbi Yitzchak Nisim, who becomes chief rabbi? Chacham Ovadia Yosef. After Chacham Ovadia Yosef, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. And it goes on and on and on until the chief rabbi today. 350 years. In 1920 something, in the early 1900s, a rabbi comes to Israel by the name of Rabbi Avraham Yitzchak Kohen Kook. Famously known as the first chief rabbi of the chief rabbinate, which is false. It's not true. Avraham Yitzchak Kohen Kook was one of the most beautiful Talmidei Chachamim we ever had in our history. Of course, this I cannot take away. He came to Israel to find himself the brunt of the wrath of the Ashkenazi community in Israel. Who sends him to Israel to be the chief rabbi? The Chafetz Chaim, very good. None other than Chafetz Chaim. Rabbi Israel Meir Cohen Kagan, who was his rabbi, and was perhaps one of the undisputed giants of his generation. But politics are politics. And they viewed Rav Kook as being too loving towards the evil secular Zionists. And they literally began to lynch him in the streets of Jerusalem. The stories you read from there are ugly, if not uglier than the stories you read about the Baal Shem Tov and the Hasidim and the Mitnagdim. It's a pretty ugly time in modern Jewish history. Walks out of his house, garbage is thrown at him. People riot outside of his house, threaten him, bully him, destroy his books. Many of you know of the Satmar Rebbe, who spoke about him saying that he was like Haman, who put idols in the Bet Mikdash of Hashem. So there's an interesting letter from Rabbi Henkin. Rabbi Henkin, I believe it's the one who's alive today. He has a letter in which he was asked if when you argue with a Satmar Rebbe, if you have to respect him. And he says every rabbi that you argue with, you have to respect, except for the Satmar Rebbe. Because the Satmar Rebbe didn't respect any rabbi that he argued with. And therefore he must have been relying on his own halachic opinion that if you don't agree with somebody, you don't have to respect them. It's a very harsh letter. I wouldn't say such a thing. But he was very close to pretty much anybody he didn't like was an idol worshiper. Rav Kook died in this state of people hating him. Yes, there were many Talmidei Chachamim who liked him. That's true. I'm not taking away from that. And many more mainstream Talmidei Chachamim than you might think. But the way history has it today is Rav Kook left off as being a very much challenged rabbi in the Jewish community. Rav Kook comes to Israel and he wants to build a chief rabbinate. One place where all Jews can agree on the same halakha, the same kashrut, the same standards of Jewish living in the land of Israel. This is before the founding of the state of Israel. And he opens up the chief rabbinate. But he can't just become the chief rabbi of Israel when there already is a chief rabbi of Israel. So he approaches Chacham Yaakov Meir, the rabbi of Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel, and says, let's open a chief rabbinate together. And Rabbi Yaakov Meir says, this is perfect. Because you could be the chief Ashkenazi rabbi. and I will be the chief Sephardic rabbi. And together we can lead the entire people that are coming back to the land of Israel. And that's what they do with the blessing of the Sephardic Rishon LeZion, as he was known. We open up the chief rabbinate of Israel. And therefore, Rav Kook may have been the first Ashkenazi chief rabbi of Israel, which is how I refer to him, but not the first chief rabbi of the land of Israel. Rav Kook passes away in the 30s. Different chief rabbis replace him in the Ashkenazi lineage. You have Rabbi Ben-Zion Meir Chai Uziel, who's the first Sephardic chief rabbi in the state of Israel. As a state, he'll pass away in 1953. After that, he's succeeded by Rabbi Yitzchak Nissim, who I want to discuss with you tonight. And then, like I told you, Rabbi Yonatan Yosef, and so on and so forth. When Rabbi Uziel passed away, it was very difficult to find another Sephardic chief rabbi. In fact, one of the candidates for Sephardic chief rabbi was Rabbi Yosef Massas. Rabbi Yosef Massas gives a letter in Morocco saying, "Do you want to be the chief rabbi in Israel?" And he declines the request, saying that it would be disrespectful of him to take that job because he's nowhere near as big as Rabbi Uziel, and it would be a disgrace if a person like him would fill the shoes of Rabbi Uziel. And he doesn't take the job. Later on, he moves to Israel like a regular human being, and David Ben-Gurion comes to beg him to take the job as the chief rabbi of Haifa. And his condition is he won't do it unless everybody in Haifa wants him as the chief rabbi. If all the political parties agree that he should be the chief rabbi, he'll do it. But if there's one person who disagrees, he doesn't want the job. And he's unanimously voted in. David Ben-Gurion goes party to party to party saying, "I want this chief rabbi." And he becomes chief rabbi of Haifa until he passes away. You'll find very often people write letters to Rabbi Yosef Massas and they'll say, "I'm sorry, that's a halachic question I cannot answer because these matters are only allowed to be determined by the chief rabbis of the state of Israel." You find Rabbi Yitzchak Nissim the same thing. They'll say, "This is not a matter that is for private ruling. This is a matter that is only allowed to be discussed by the chief rabbi of the state of Israel." And many, many, many Sephardic rabbis told this line probably until the generation of Rabbi Yosef. What happens to Rabbi Yosef? 10 years into power, so you're supposed to be the chief rabbi for as long as you live. Rabbi Yosef crossed a few people that he shouldn't have crossed, and they decide to vote that the chief Sephardic rabbi and Ashkenazi rabbi can only serve 10-year terms.
Only Ashkenazi?
Both, meaning to keep them in check. You can only serve 10 years. You cannot serve past the year 70, whatever other arbitrary rules they made to rule Rabbi Yosef out. What happens is Rabbi Yosef ends up leaving the chief rabbinate, though he's respected by the following chief rabbis as the chief rabbi of Israel, and they are the chief rabbis of the state of Israel. In fact, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu was known to be not always in agreement with Rabbi Yosef. When he was in our yeshiva in Midas Faradi, I heard the story from Rav Peretz. He asked Rabbi Yosef's son, "Is your father coming?" He said, "Yes." He said, "What time is your father coming to the yeshiva?" He told him a time. He said, "Please give me a few minutes warning. I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to change out of my chief rabbi clothing and I'll change just into a regular suit and a tie." Because he wasn't willing to wear the robe of the chief rabbi, even though he was the chief rabbi, so long as Rabbi Yosef was in the same room. At that point, we started to realize that the chief rabbinate fell into the hands of politics. Who elects the chief rabbi? Not all the rabbis of Israel, politicians, political parties. Certain heads of political parties, certain heads of synagogues, certain heads of social movements, and they all get together and they elect the chief rabbi. And very quickly, many Jews began to become disenchanted with the chief rabbinate and realized that this is not that glorious replacement of the Sanhedrin that we thought it was going to be. And it ended up becoming an organization which, I'm embarrassed to tell you, that for the most of the Jewish people, it's null and void. And for those who live in Israel, it's as important as I need them to get married and I need them to get buried. The leaders of the Jewish spiritual community, I don't know if you'd give that title to the chief rabbis of Israel. I'm not saying that happily, I'm saying that with a sadness. Rav Uziel used to sit in the Knesset, and every law they would pass in the Knesset, he would give a halachic ruling. Is this within the spirit of Judaism? Don't have to agree with him or not, but just like the Attorney General gets a chance on every law to say if it's constitutional or not, he got a chance, is it constitutional according to halakha? After Rav Uziel, I don't know that it was that rabbis weren't invited, but two things happened. The people couldn't care less, because whatever chief rabbis didn't inspire them anymore to care about what Judaism had to say about a certain law. And second, I don't know, if you would go to a rabbi today and ask him what Judaism's take on a socialist society versus a capitalist society is, or what Judaism says about, choose a social topic, what are medical benefits for Jews according to the Torah, or what is welfare, what about food stamps according to the Torah, what is halachot, go ask a rabbi, good luck. We know all about what kind of food you can eat, all about how many stamps you have to put in an envelope, but nothing about food stamps in halakha. We don't know anything about social issues in halakha. What is Judaism's take on prisons? What is Judaism's take on sexual abuse in the community? What is Judaism's take on, you name it and ask it, and supposedly we once had a state that functioned according to the Torah, so we for sure had halachot that dealt with that. But today's rabbis have limited themselves to the four walls of the synagogue, and really what's outside of the synagogue doesn't interest them so much. And when you become not important for the people, so you become not important for a lot of people. And so what is the chief rabbinate? What is the vision? When Rabbi Yitzchak Nissim talks about the chief rabbinate, what is he talking about? And I have a few papers. I didn't know there was going to be this many people here, so we're going to share. It's all in Hebrew, so if you're not comfortable with Hebrew, that's okay. I have 4 copies, so just take and pass it around. You can share if you want. The first letter that's on the first page, the staple should be on the top right of the page. I was this summer in that Sephardic convention that everyone here helped get me to. B'ezrat Hashem, I hope to return this year as well. And Rabbi Yitzchak Nissim's yortzeit fell out on the same time that I was there. And we all went as a group of rabbis to his yortzeit. And he has 4 books today. 1 of halakha and 3 of speeches that he wrote, letters. And that you could really much only get over there. And I bought all of the copies that I could get my hands on. And this is in one of those books of his speeches that he gave at different places. This is a speech that he gave to the Sephardic Rabbinic Congress in their annual dinner that they had in Israel. And he writes, I am very honored to bless this banquet of this gathering of the Sephardic rabbis. הכינוס הזה הוא עדות על הכוח החיוני העצור ברבנים. This convention is testimony to the strength that these rabbis have. ממלאים שליחות חשובה להנהיג צאן קדושים. They fulfill a very important job of taking care of the holy flock, the Jewish people. להרביץ תורה ברבים, to spread Torah to the masses, ולשמור על גחלת היהדות שלא תכבה, and to keep alive the coals of Judaism, so the coals don't go out. To the 3rd paragraph, Rabbi Yitzchak Nissim is testimony to a problem. You see, in the early years of the state of Israel, you didn't want to be Sephardic because being Sephardic meant you would be people would be racist towards you. They'd be prejudiced towards you. They would put you down. You probably wouldn't get a job. A very difficult time. So now there's a flip problem, like today in San Diego or in the United States. When you stand up and you say you're a Sephardic rabbi, there's a Sephardic organization, people start to be upset at you. How come you want to be Sephardic? What about the whole Jewish people? It's the same racism, just in a different form. The same people who try to shut you up in the 40s and 50s and 60s, today they try to shut you up by speaking about unity and about we're all one and post-racial Judaism and so on and so forth. But it's the same racist demon that comes back. This 3rd line, he's taking this bull by the horns in the 3rd paragraph is הארגון אינו חותר לפלגנות ולבדלנות. This organization, I can testify, does not exist to separate and to divide the Jewish people. היפוכו של דבר, the exact opposite. It works together. La'asarat mechitzot, to get rid of dividers. Lekiruv levavot, to bring hearts close to each other. Hu solelet haderech le'achdut ha'emet, this organization is blazing the trail for true unity. V'naim letzayin, and I'm very happy to say, ki ha'irgun omed tadir limin ha'rabut harashit, this organization of rabbis consistently stands to the right of the chief rabbinate and supports it. B'mamatzah lechazek ma'amadav v'chol pulotah, and then makes sure to strengthen the hands of the chief rabbinate and everything that it does. You see here two things happening. Rabbi Yonatan Halevy is praising an independent rabbinic organization, even though it's not part of the chief rabbinate. And second, he's saying how happy he is that this organization always stands by the decisions of the chief rabbinate. The chief rabbinate in Israel had a very hard battle to fight. See, in America today, who's considered a rabbi? Anybody who wants. Who's considered a reverend? Anybody who wants. That's a free-for-all. You can also go to the bank. You'll ask them to write rabbi in your debit card or credit card. They'll do it for you. It's part of the services they do for free. What makes you a rabbi? And then you have all kinds of rabbis who divorce people, who marry people, who bury people, who have synagogues. And you don't know anymore. In this country, you don't know anymore who's real and who's not real and who's... the other day I was someone said, oh yeah, Orthodox rabbis. I don't even know what that word means. Why do you use that word? What does it mean? What is an Orthodox rabbi? Who makes an Orthodox rabbi? I don't know what word that is. People are fighting today. What is Orthodoxy? What is mono-Orthodoxy? What is open Orthodoxy? I don't know. I'm not sure. And the answer is, I have no idea. I'm not an Orthodox rabbi. I have a very hard time understanding what that term means. I'm just a rabbi. Follows Torah mitzvot. There's a community of people who try to follow Torah mitzvot. We all try together and we get wherever we get. In Israel, this is a real issue because it's a legal issue. In Israel, there is no separation of church and state. So if I marry you, you're considered married by the state of Israel. If I divorce you, you're considered divorced, like in a civil court. The chief rabbinate decides who's a Jew, who can make aliyah to Israel, who can't make aliyah to Israel, who gets social security benefits. That's all decided by the chief rabbinate of Israel. It's a huge deal. So we're not going to let every rabbi be a rabbi. And so they made a rule because they can't say they don't want reform rabbis or conservative rabbis or whatever else. And in order to keep those rabbis out of the chief rabbinate, what do? You're not a rabbi unless you took tests by the chief rabbinate of Israel. So now what happens? What happens? I'll give me the name of a big rabbi that you know outside of Israel. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, when he was alive. What would happen if the Lubavitcher Rebbe wanted to move to Israel and marry somebody? He couldn't do it. He'd have to go to the chief rabbinate office with all the 20-year-olds and take a test to be a rabbi. Sounds funny? It's ludicrous. What do you mean? He has to take tests by you. Who are you? Listen, with all respect to whoever is the chief rabbi, you think he's the Lubavitcher Rebbe? Do you think he's Rabbi Moshe Feinstein? Come on. Rabbi Lichtenstein, Alav Shalom, when he made Aliyah to Israel, they said, sorry, you're not a rabbi. You're a Soloveitchik son-in-law. So what do I have to do to be a rabbi here? You have to take tests. How long take to study those tests? At least 10 years.
What?
Yeah, it's a long time. So he says, fine, give me the test. He says, when? Now! He went in, he took 10 years worth of tests, handed them in, became a rabbi the next day. You're going to give him tests? It's a chutzpah. It's not normal. So what do? In order to keep certain rabbis out, they kept all the rabbis out. Any one of us who's not ordained by them is not a rabbi. When I go to Israel to do a wedding, I don't just have to prove that I'm a rabbi. I have to prove that I'm Jewish. I have to prove that my mother was Jewish. I have to prove that which yeshiva I got an ordination from. I have to prove that I'm a rabbi that has a community outside of Israel. I have to bring letters from other rabbis that I'm a rabbi. How often do I have to do that? Every single time I do a wedding. I proved the first time, no? No, this is politics. It's not about the truth. The truth is you have all my paperwork from the last 8 weddings I did. What's the problem now? Now there was somebody in Israel here had to make Aliyah to Israel. They needed a letter that they were single. You have to give a letter that a person wasn't married here. So who are you supposed to go to? To a rabbi that you know, that can vouch for you. So they came to me, I wrote them a letter. Now in Israel they know who I am already. They write back, sorry, the letter is not acceptable. Why? Why? Because there are only 2 rabbis in San Diego who can give such letters. You would shiver if you know which 2 rabbis.
I know one of them.
And they went to one of those 2 rabbis, who don't know them, by the way. And said, we need a letter because the chief rabbinate says you're the only one who can give us a letter. It's okay, not a problem. What synagogue do you go to? Here? Sorry, we can't give you a letter. So what do? Call the other rabbi. Listen, you have to do a favor. So I won't write a letter, but I'll send an email. So I took an email from a rabbi who doesn't know this person. Why? Because I testified that I know this person. And that worked. What did you know? I write letters for people all over the United States. And they take my letters. But not from San Diego. If somebody from San Diego, it can't be from me. So sometimes there are rabbis in New York who they won't take their letters, I'll write a letter for them. Why does it work in New York and not in San Diego? I have no idea. The Supreme Court asked the chief rabbinate if they could publish a list of rules. What makes you get on the list and what makes you get off the list? The chief rabbinate for 3 years said we won't give you the rules. We won't publish our protocol. So the Supreme Court of Israel subpoenaed the chief rabbinate. And they put out a list of rabbis, 150 rabbis, some of them whose names were wrong. Like they put your first name with his last name. It was like one big mess. Some things were capital, some things were lowercase, some of the rabbis were dead.
You just go to the grave.
And it's how do you get on the list? We can't tell you. How do you get off the list? We can't tell you. They don't know. Politics. That's what it looks like today. When I marry a couple in Israel, you have to do a few things to get married. First, you have to pay the chief rabbinate, of course. You can't do it without getting paid. So you pay, like when you go to the city of San Diego and you sign papers and you pay. Money order or check. That's part of how it works. Okay. After you pay, they open up a file on you. You have to have friends that come testify that you're single. Then you have to... Which rabbi marries you? You don't get to choose. They have it's like given out in a random order. Some random rabbi that you don't know will marry you. Oh, you want to make a request for another rabbi to marry you? That's another. Let's open another file. So get another request. Sometimes you have to do this months and months ahead of time. Okay, so they got that. Now you have to go to certain classes to study to be a groom and a bride. So let's say you're some random couple who works in high tech in Tel Aviv. You've never seen the inside of a synagogue in your life. Who do they send you to? To some old man sitting in a cave in Bnei Brak with a shtreimel, a long pellet, and a beard. And he's busy talking to you about your intimate life and the bedroom, and it's like not normal what's going on over there. Can you imagine what a not so observant couple is feeling at this point in time? So why can't I just get married regularly? No, just have to do it. And you have to bring back a paper, the man from the man and the woman from her teacher, signed with a stamp that you took all the classes you need to take. Okay, now if you decided to stay married after that, it's good. Next step, the night before you get married, you have to go to the mikveh. Then you have to go with the supervision, not of somebody you know, not like here where the Rabbinate takes a person, or some random lady, you have to pay her too. Then she has to stamp your paper. And when you come to the wedding, the rabbi who's from the chief rabbi who's at your wedding, if you don't have all that paperwork at your wedding, good luck, you're not getting married tonight. And then you have to pay him under the table also. Because why did he bother coming to your wedding in Netanya for no good reason? And then you walk away with such an emotional, positive Jewish experience that you decide, I want to be Jewish for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like how it works in the United States. So now when I fly to Israel to do a wedding because there's a couple that wants me to do their wedding because they don't want to do that, you can imagine this already becomes a politics game. This guy from San Diego is going to come to take our money? So they pay the chief rabbinate anyways, and I come to do the wedding. Fine, I don't care. I didn't come for the money. I came so these people don't die under their chuppah. But when Rabbi Yitzhak Nisim is talking about loyalty to the Rabbanut, he's not talking about this organization. It's not what he's talking about. Let me read you what he's talking about. So you can understand when HaShamayim Sfarad, we're talking about the glorious chief rabbinate. This is not the glory, and this is not the chief, and this is not the rabbinate. Nothing here is any of those 3 things together. And that's the next letter you have on the next page. Can I borrow something for a cup of water? Yeah. Thank you. And I'm going to skim because it's a longer letter. The job of the chief rabbinate in this generation. Letter Lamed Gimel. See, the page looks like this. See it? I made a shackle downstairs already. Thank you. They open up the Heichal Shlomo building of the chief rabbinate. This is Tafshin Yudchet, 10 years after they found the state of Israel, 1958. This is on King George Street. If you know where Jerusalem is, near the Prima King's Hotel, if you know where that is, next door to the Great Synagogue in that area. This is literally the border of Israel and Jordan. Only in 1967 will there be a much, but this is like the last building before the Temple Mount for us, where we're living at this time. And they open up the chief rabbinate building there, Lag BaOmer of 1958. Beitah Chadash Rabbinut Rashit Israel. This new building is giving a sermon of the chief rabbinate of Israel, Min Hadin Shisamel Et Hitbatzruta V'Tatzmut Kocha V'Ashpa'ata. This building should show that we have solidified our place and our impact in the lives of the people of the state of Israel. Harabbanut HaRashit, the chief rabbinate, En Pulotea Rak B'Mizgarta Mugbelet. Our job as chief rabbis is not our little job descriptions. Shvita B'Inyanei Ishut, matters of judgment like between husband and wife, divorce and the like. Pikuach Al Tzorchei Dat, checking if restaurants are kosher and those kind of things. Horat Isur Veter, law of what is kosher and what is not kosher, what is permitted, what is prohibited. V'Arbatzat Torah, just the teaching of Torah. That's not the job of the chief rabbinate. Those are specific jobs the chief rabbinate takes care of. לרבנות נודעת גם סמכות רוחנית לבעיות היהדות והרוח במובן הרחב. The chief rabbinate should be the authority for all matters that affect Jewish life and the Jewish spirit in its entirety. סמכות זאת תוקפה וחוזקה בכוח המוסרי. And this authority exists because it's ethical that it should be this way. שכן בעיות הרוח אין להן גבולות ותחומים, because spiritual issues don't have fine boundaries and definitions. ואין החוק והמשפט יכולים לפותרן ולכוונן, and the regular civil court system is not able to deal with the great issues of the spirit of the Jewish people. חנוכת בית הרבנות הראשית ישראל מחייבת את רעיו הרוחניים של העם. This חנוכת בית, this dedication ceremony of the chief rabbinate's building, demands from all the friends of the chief rabbinate, Rabbanav, the rabbis, Dayanav, the judges, לחשב חשבון פעולתם, to think, what is my mission here? האם תפסה הרבנות משמעותה של התקופה הזאת? Does this chief rabbinate truly comprehend? Does it truly grasp how great of a time it's living in? של חידוש עצמאותנו בחלק מארצנו. Here you find the Sephardic chief rabbinate. That we have renewed our, there's a word, sovereignty. Is that the word? Sovereignty, thank you. I only read it in a newspaper. Sovereignty over a portion of the land of Israel. Not all of it. It's not all. The Jordan is also ours. South Lebanon and Syria is also ours. Northern Egypt is also ours. But we have independence in some of this land. או שכל רב ודיין הצטמצמה השפעתו בתחומים של שומרי המסורת בלבד, or the rabbis of the chief rabbinate only relevant to those people who observe the Torah actively in their homes. Is this only the chief rabbinate of the Orthodox Jews? Or is this the chief rabbinate of the whole entire people? מתי ידעה תורת ישראל? Since when did the Torah of the Jewish people know how להסתגר בתוך דלת אמות? Since when did the Torah know how to hide inside of a closet? To hide inside of a little room. This is where it belongs. The Torah doesn't know how to deal with the whole world. מתי לא הטביעו חכמי ישראל חותמם במערכות החיים של האומה? Since when did the sages of Israel stop leaving their imprint on the life of the entire nation? What's he doing here at the founding of the chief rabbinate building? In Hebrew we say, it's not Hebrew, it's probably Arabic. It's a fadicha. This is like an embarrassing moment. The chief rabbi, instead of saying, "Oh look, it's a nice building, thanks to Jerry Schwartz for donating the wall, thanks to Bill Goldberg for donating this, thanks for Mr. Cohen for his time and his effort, and to Mrs. Jackie so and so for making nice food," instead of wasting his time speaking like that, what does he say? He's now at the founding ceremony of the chief rabbinate. He says, "Chevra, we're not doing our job. The chief rabbinate is not where it's supposed to be. We have a building. This building is supposed to symbolize something which it doesn't." The chief rabbi of Israel, who believes clearly in the chief rabbinate so much, is telling you, Chevra, we're about to collapse. We're about to become irrelevant to the people of Israel. I'm sure he was the most sought after keynote speaker at the next dinner. Etzem התקומה, just our independence in the land of Israel. לא זו בלבד שקרבה רבים מאחינו שבגולה לעמם, not only did it have an effect of bringing many Jews in exile back to Judaism, to their nation. You have to understand, until the founding of the state of Israel, to be a proud Jew, you had to be observant. The founding of the state of Israel allowed for a much more, perhaps watered down version of belonging to the Jewish people, but I belong to that country. Even those groups of people that are not so connected to their Judaism are connected to their Israel. They're their Maccabee games, so they're whatever, and that's a value also. לא זו בלבד שנטעה תקווה והפיחה רוח חיים בקהילות אשר התבוללות נתנה בהם את אותותיה. Not only did it breathe life into communities around the globe that were assimilating rapidly into the non-Jewish culture. חוגים אשר דבקו באידיאולוגיות אנושיות כלליות. Those people who were talking so much about, let's not be Jewish, let's be universalists. Let's be a universal faith on this earth. There are many such people floating around. אשר ראו עצמם חלק מן העולם כולו ללא אופי ייחודי של עם. These are people who didn't see themselves as part of the Jewish people per se, just part of humanity as a whole. אשר בזו לערכים היהודים, that they disgraced, they didn't care about their Jewish values. נפתח ליבם לשמוע להאזין, and all of a sudden their heart opened up. ללמוד ולהבין מה נתנה מסורת ישראל ומורשתו לאומה בגלותה, ומה יכולה לתת לאומה עם חידוש עצמאותה. Now these people see, hey, wait a second. The state of Israel was established? What makes the people so strong? How did Jews, all of a sudden, the people that we don't want to have anything to do with, how did they found the state of Israel? Look how it got them through exile. I can only imagine what this Torah could do for people when they're living in their own land. Even the most universalist Jew who doesn't really have much to do with his Judaism, all of a sudden becomes a proud Zionist. To begin to comprehend what the founding of the state of Israel did to Jews around the globe. Bnei HaNoah, what about the youth? Asher lo ta'amu me'enash Torah, that never tasted from the wine of the Torah. Megalim netiya lachkor v'lidrosh yadut mahi u'mahem archea. They start to ask questions like, what is Judaism? We don't know, we never heard. Our parents stole it from us. I had a lady at this table, she's not here now, this table, 70 years old. Never knew there was a Haggadah for Pesach. Never heard there was a book you read in the Pesach Seder. 2 years ago, discovered just Pesach her whole life. Her parents stole the Haggadah from her. They raised her making Pesach with matzah and cookies. Matzah and ham and cheese sandwiches. And she went to Ralph's and got a few Haggadot, and that was a start. There's a whole generation of people who are asking, we didn't even rebel, we just don't know what we're talking about. Our parents may have run away, our grandparents ran away, but I'm not running away. I'm here in Israel, I'm part of the Jewish people in America. I want to know what I mean. What does it mean to be Jewish? Everyone's mad at me that I'm Jewish. What does that mean? I've gone through an anti-Semitic incident on college campuses, but I never thought I was Jewish until that guy screamed, "Hey, kike," at me. Never happened. I never thought about it before. How many people that happens to them? נכונים לשמוע ולהתווכח יותר מן הדור שגדל על ברכי יהדות ופרש ממנה. They're more open to studying Judaism, these young people, than their parents who were raised on the knees of Judaism and rebelled against it. קיצוניות זאת, this extreme התרחקות ממסורת, this extreme deviance from Jewish tradition. אפשר שממנה יצא מתוק. It could be that the chief rabbinate can still turn that into something sweet. To find those people and to show them the beauty of Judaism. It could be that these people, alulim hem lekabel ol malchut shamayim, that they will accept upon themselves Hashem, la'amin b'Torah Yisrael, to believe in the Torah of the Jewish people, ulidabek b'musar anviim, and to cling to the words of our prophets. On the next page. And whose job is it, says Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, to go out and bring these people back to their parents' Torah? תפקיד זה, this job, להידרש לאותם הקוראים לתשועת נפשם, מוטל בעיקר על הרועים הרוחניים, רבני ישראל אשר אין הם כפקידים המשמשים במשרתם, על מנת לקבל פרס או כבוד. These are not just jobs. You're a desk clerk in the chief rabbinate office, so hey, I file paper, I do this, I sign gittin, that's what I do for a living. אלא מוטלת עליהם חובה בלתי כתובה. They also have the job, not written in their job description, not written in their contract with the state of Israel. לחדור לכל מושב וקיבוץ בישראל. To infiltrate every city and dwelling and kibbutz in the land of Israel. לכל נקודה ונקודה, at every point. לסלול הטועים נתיבות ביהדות ולחזק את לבבם באמונה, to pave roads for the Jewish people to come back home to the emunah in Hashem. So maybe we should name Chabad of Israel, the chief rabbinate of Israel. They're more busy than everybody else, going to this kibbutz and that place and this army base and that one. Okay, obviously I'm saying it with a little bit of humor, but they're doing better of a job than chief rabbinate is. See, they're not asking you to sign a paper when you go to the mikveh before you come and pay your 25 shekel fee. They're asking if you know what tefillin is, do you have mezuzot on your house, do you want to learn about keeping kosher? Where's the chief rabbinate? People pay for these rabbis to do their job, but they're too busy making lists. So I can't write letters, so you can make aliyah. הרבנות הראשית ישראל, the chief rabbinate of Israel, צריכה להוכיח את עצמאותה הרוחנית, המוחלטת, must prove to the Jewish people that it is entirely spiritually independent. ואי תלותה בשום גורם ציבורי מפלגתי, and that it is not dependent or affiliated with any section or any party of the Jewish people. You have a fight now at the Kotel. Should there be an Orthodox Kotel, a Reformed Kotel, a Conservative Kotel? Should women of the wall have a Torah and not have a Torah? Where's the chief rabbinate? AWOL. Dear chief rabbis, I don't care if my hot dogs are kosher. Go figure out what's supposed to be going on at the Kotel. Where's your chief rabbinate hood? What are you doing with your job? Look at the Kotel. People are fighting at the Kotel Plaza. Am I taking sides? Sure, I might have an opinion one way or the other. But hey, remember, this is not my jurisdiction. I can't even marry you in Israel. Can you tell me what you're going to do at the Kotel? That's your job. You took it. So do what you need to do. Klal Yisrael, the entire Jewish people, zehu shetach pulata, that is their territory. You claim to be the chief rabbi of the state of Israel, of the state of the Jews. Show us. Show the Jewish people that you take responsibility for all of them. For every single one of them. For the Orthodox ones, for the not so Orthodox ones, for the Jewish ones and the ones that are not yet sure if they're Jewish, for the ones that need help proving that they're Jewish, for the black ones or the white ones. You know, there are almost 400,000 Jews living in Israel today that are not Jewish. They're from the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union. They live in Israel. They were brought in, made a Aliyah. Recently, the conservative movement tried to bring 6 of their students from Africa. People they converted or claimed to have been from the lost tribes of the Jewish people. You know that I'm not a conservative either. I'm not Orthodox for sure, I'm not conservative. Israel gave them visas. When they came to Israel, Israel sent them right back. They canceled their visas. I didn't hear anybody scream about this. I didn't hear anybody cry how 400,000 white people made Aliyah to Israel. But when 6 black ones tried to come, Israel sent them back home. I didn't hear it. Because nobody cares. And the chief rabbinate? Where? Where are they? Oh, conservative Jews are not your kind of Jews, right? So don't be the chief rabbi. Nobody forced you to be part of the chief rabbinate. But if you're part of the chief rabbinate, you're responsible even for the people who don't like you so much. That's part of your job. somebody comes to my Knesset, they don't like me so much. It hurts me, but that's my life. That's what I'm with. There are people who don't like me so much, but they're still part of my community. They still deserve to be treated with dignity and with respect and with how much. Listen, I'm a human being at the end of the day too. But they make the effort to be involved in my life, so I should make the effort to be involved in their life. That's what you don't know what made you be in a public position. But if you are going to be in a public position, you better do it right. I'll read you just a few more sentences. We'll call it a night. I don't even need a chief rabbi who knows how to do anything. I would just like a chief rabbi who cares enough to write a letter like this. Who cares enough to care about issues that don't involve kosher and Shabbat and tefillin and mezuzot. All of us rabbis are qualified to do that. Wouldn't even need your help with marriage either, or ketubot or anything else. Now I was in Los Angeles. Remember we came in? I walk into the Beit Din and the rabbis are there filling out a ketubah. What happens? Somebody lost their ketubah. So when you lose your ketubah, husband and wife have to separate until you write a new ketubah. Even though they're married, they can't be in the same house. So we have a special ketubah we fill in place of a ketubah that was lost. The problem is in the ketubah, it was an Ashkenazi ketubah. And it's known that certain words in the Ashkenazi ketubah actually make the ketubah not kosher for the Shulchan Aruch. Not the other way around, meaning Ashkenazim can use the Sephardic ketubah, but there's a few words in the Ashkenazi ketubah, at least one, that can make it problematic for those who follow Shulchan Aruch. Why they still insist on that word when it's not necessary, I don't know, but I'm not here to fight that fight. When I married couples office with a universal ketubah for everybody that needs to use it. The problem was we had to cross out some words. So they crossed out some words before I got there. But now, if you, let's say you get your mortgage contract and someone blacked out some lines, I didn't sign on that contract. Or you wrote in some new words. I don't know, the bank clerk, he put in another few percent on my mortgage. You think I'm going to agree with it? So when you change something, what do they make you do with the bank? Let's say you write something wrong in the check. What do? You have to initial it. So in Judaism, initialing it is not enough. You have to write a formula at the bottom of the ketubah. And then you have to have all the witnesses sign again. Now, I, Baruch Hashem, one of my expertises is writing ketubot. So I studied many months for it in Yerushalayim. So Hashem had it, and I brought up a book on ketubot. Why? I thought maybe we'll marry somebody today. I don't know why. It was in my bag. I was like, Chaveh, relax, don't worry. We took a pen, I sat down, we filled out the nosach, and all the rabbis signed again. Shalom and Yisrael. We know how to do ketubot. I don't need the chief rabbi to teach me how to do ketubot. What I don't have a solution for the kotel. And even if I do, nobody's listening to me because I'm just me. I don't have this grand title of the chief rabbi. There are other issues that are going on in Am Yisrael. What about the 400,000 people in Israel that live life as if they're Jewish, but they're not actually Jewish? What about them? That's a huge national crisis. They're marrying Jewish girls and boys. They go to school with Jewish girls and boys. They go to the army with Jewish girls and boys. They have children with Jewish girls and boys, and not all of those children come out Jewish. Where's that national crisis? Who cares what you think smartphones should be allowed in the synagogue or not in the... I don't care. It's not your job. There are big things that we have to deal with. I don't know. What should be the status of non-Orthodox rabbis in the state of Israel? Again, nobody's asking me. But you can't just dismiss that question if you're the chief rabbi. Rav Uziel, when he becomes chief rabbi, goes to the mosques and the churches and tells them, listen, I'm the chief rabbi of the mosque and the church also. If you need something done, you need more Qurans in your mosque, you have to call me. I have to help you fund that. You have a sink that's broken in your church? I'm the chief rabbi. I'm in charge of anything religious in this country. I need to help you. I represent you also. You're not big enough for that kind of job, so don't take it. You're not ready to be Rav Uziel? Don't do it. You don't want to be Rav Kook? Don't do it. But here's what happens. The chief rabbinate doesn't do all that work. And who's left to do all that work? Really small, tiny rabbis like myself and my friends all around the world. And then the chief rabbi has the audacity to question our integrity. How much we care about the Jewish people. How much we care about halakha. How much we are on our big lofty thrones on the border of Jerusalem. How much we care. How Jewish are we? How rabbinic are we really? You don't begin to understand the chutzpah of this. And then to come into communities like this one, or Los Angeles, or New York, say, well, this rabbi, he can do conversions, and this rabbi, he could do divorce, and this rabbi, he can write letters. Oh, you want to know how you get on that list? Sorry, we can't tell you. And then to brainwash an entire community of people to think, well, if you don't get a divorce from this rabbi, you don't convert with this rabbi, or you don't get a letter from that rabbi, well, it's not going to be counted in Israel, so you're wasting your time if you do it. Since when? Who put you as the king over the Jewish people? If you were worthy of the title, we would all agree with you anyways. But you're not. And that hurts us that you're not. But don't come to blame us. Look at yourself. Ask, why is it that we don't affiliate ourselves with you? How many chief rabbis are going to be put on trial for laundering money? We already have 2 rabbis, chief rabbis now on trial. More? There are more. We don't have to talk about them. It's not nice. If you're the chief, when Chama Yosef was the chief rabbi, we didn't all follow everything Rabbi Yosef said. But when he said something, that was law. We were willing to accept it when he was the chief rabbi. The things he said, we're not arguing with him. We may do differently, but he has the right to be the chief rabbi. When Rav Kook and Rav Ben Zion Meir Chai was yell walk the streets, only a clown would fight with those 2 people. Yes, our rabbi say do v'do shav. Every generation, yiftach b'doro, k'shmuel b'doro. Every generation has different kinds of chief rabbis. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need a chief rabbi desperately. We need 2 rabbis. You want to know another chief rabbi problem? Why only 2 chief rabbis? Only 2 kinds of Jews? How many different kinds of Sephardic Jews there are? How many Ashkenazi Jews there are? Yemenite Jews. Do you know that we're not officially part, not of the Sephardic community or the Ashkenazi community? And there's a man who's been trying to run for Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel for many, many years. And he's worthy of the title, but he's Yemenite. So he can run for Sephardic chief rabbi, and he can't run for Ashkenazi chief rabbi. Where does that leave Yemenite Jews? In the same place they were in the 40s and 50s. With no representation, but equal taxation. If you're going to have a chief rabbi, so that's another national. Maybe there shouldn't be just 2 chief rabbis. I don't know. That's something the chief rabbis have to work out. Just like Rav Yaakov Meir said, hey, there's time for an Ashkenazi chief rabbi because I'm not going to do it all on my own. There's a beautiful separation of, until today, division of labor. The Sephardic chief rabbi and the Ashkenazi chief rabbi do 2 very different things. And normally the Ashkenazi chief rabbi is not a dayan, he's not a judge, he's not a posek for the most part. So he doesn't deal with halachic matters. He deals with kashrut of the restaurants, with being in all the formal government ceremonies, traveling around and waving at people. And the Sephardic chief rabbi, his job is to give gitin, to be the head of the batei din. It's an interesting thing, by the way. These 2 Sephardic chief rabbis now, they're quite opposite from each other. The Ashkenazi chief rabbi is a very special man. Not necessarily my type, but does a lot of very good work. Sephardic chief rabbi is the head of the batei din, but he never in his life sat on a beit din before. So how can you make him the head of the batei din? I don't know. He never took a test to become a rabbi. And when they were electing him for chief rabbi, they didn't know what to do because his file in the chief rabbinate was empty. So the news reported it, and the next morning you woke up and they had all of his tests inside of the envelope, inside of his file. No test. They don't have photocopies of the tests, just of the grades that he got. They all were passed. No tests. Every other person, you open up his file, there are tests and there are grades. Him, it was empty yesterday. Today they have all the grades, no tests. It's a little bit embarrassing.